If I go back a little bit about asylum application, you said it takes years. Do you have a time frame of years that can take, and can that be denied at one point?
Whether someone's coming in as a refugee or under asylum, the goal is to convince the US government that that person has and here's a quote, well-founded fear of persecution. And that is a term that reasonable people can differ. You can think that someone has a well-founded fear of persecution. Allison may disagree with that. So it involves discretion, it involves attitude. For asylum applications, I don't have a statistic, an exact statistic on what percentage is approved, but it's less than 10%. Less than 10%, less than 1 out of 10 asylum applications are approved. In addition, you have a backlog of over 400,000 applications that are awaiting adjudication. It can take years before a case comes up to an immigration judge. And in particular, I mean, there are people who have been waiting for literally 5, 6, 7 years to get a hearing. And then individuals largely from the Northern Triangle, from certain countries in South America, are stuck now in Mexico under a program that doesn't even allow individuals to enter the United States. Rather, only a select few each day are allowed to come in to make a preliminary application. It's called a credible fear application, where they're trying to convince an immigration judge that they seemingly have a case for persecution, and then they're returned to Mexico to await a decision. So literally, individuals staying in Mexico are staying month after month, now year after year. And with the COVID crisis, the southern border has basically been entirely closed to new asylum applications. So here you've got literally thousands of individuals who can't even get their foot into the territory of the United States, which is a requirement in order to file an application for asylum. So there are two very basic concerning elements in the asylum process. One is a very, very constrictive set of adjudications. Again, less than 10% of all asylum applications are approved. And number two, how long it takes for the whole process to transpire.
Is there the policy that allows them to be entitled to some benefits as they are waiting for their applications, let's say employment, authorization, social security? Do they entitled to have that as a policy?
If you're a refugee, you come in, your case is already approved. So the first day you set foot on the territory of the United States, a refugee has employment authorization and an entitlement to public benefits to the same extent, basically, as a US citizen. Healthcare, access to education, welfare payments, and so on. If you're an asylee, number one, you have to be able to file your application. And remember, you can only file your application if you're on the territory of the United States. So all the people now stuck in Mexico in the Return to Mexico program, they can't even make their application. Once someone applies for asylum, it used to be after 150 days, they could apply for an employment card. Now, under revisions, under the Trump administration, it's a full year. You have to wait 365 days from filing your application to being able to apply for an employment card. Then it used to be under law, the employment card had to be issued in 30 days. Now that 30-day requirement has been lifted. It's been negated. And as a result, you're looking at usually 4 to 7 more months to get an employment card. So someone in the asylum process really does not have the right to work for about a year and a half. And during that period of time, any type of work they perform is performed without authorization. It makes them illegal. Now, they may not be deported for that, but an employer could be sanctioned, could be fined for hiring someone without appropriate paperwork, okay? So it is a problem, a big problem.
It's a big problem when it comes even in terms of surviving, because if you're not working, you are not eligible for any benefits to this territory of America. It becomes very hard to survive.
Absolutely. And the Biden administration, look, in the area we're talking about, Emma, if there's one big difference between the Trump administration and the Biden administration, it's that the Biden administration seems to have an interest in re-injecting humanitarian concerns in asylum and refugee adjudications, having a heart, recognizing that people suffer from persecution. So we may be seeing some changes in terms of access to employment authorization, access to benefits. Because if we had this conversation, by the way, 25 years ago, anyone in the United States, even as they're going through the asylum process, would have full entitlement to Social Security, to healthcare coverage, to welfare benefits, to food stamps, to all of those benefits, in a belief that if you have an expectation of living long-term in the United States, you should have an expectation of accessing benefits. That was rolled back in 1996 under the Welfare Reform Act. And now it's been rolled back and back and back, particularly in the Trump administration. So this is something to track as the Biden administration takes power. It's not going to be overnight. It will not be overnight.